Sam, I told you for the millionth time, you can't have Trevor Pena on your fantasy team. It's just not possible.
Why not, Andrew? Trevor is my guy.
Yeah, but he's a college player. You can't put college guys on a fan. It's NFL.
Andrew, Sam, guys, is this a joke? Like what are we doing here?
We're talking football.
Talking ball. It's bye week.
Guys, we have a show to do.
No,
we're talking
football bye week.
Guys, there's other sports on this campus, and Reis at this point looks like he's going to umpiring school, and you look like me getting ready for recess in 3rd grade.
I love Reis. My favorite subject.
Absolutely.
Guys, we have other sports we can cover.
Like what?
Yeah. What?
Think of another sport that starts with F.
All right. Frisbee?
How about foosball?
Yeah.
Sam, you want to wake up maybe?
What?
I am.
What do you got there?
You know what? Get rid of that ball. Try this one on for size.
Fine.
What is this?
Guys, number 12 Syracuse field hockey plays 4th-ranked Virginia this week. It's a top 15 matchup. It's going to be good stuff. We have to break it all down. You guys got to get out of here.
Okay.
Let's go.
All right.
Let's go.
All right. Well, we've got the stick. We've got the ball. Just need the analysts. Cuse countdown starts right now. What is poppin', everyone? Welcome into the CitrusTV studio. Max Gifford with you, and my analysts have done their best Tony Bennett impression and have just abandoned me today. So I guess it's just going to be me, and we're talking Syracuse field hockey.
No,
my God.
Whoa. We're here. Sorry. Oh, my God.
Sorry.
Guys, you're a minute late.
I'm sorry. The dressing room and the bathroom it's not fit 2 people. Sorry.
Oh,
we're here.
All right, well, these guys are back. It's Sam Reis, it's Andrew Della, Piana. Gentlemen, appreciate you being with us. Are you ready to do a show?
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Sorry
Let's go. I'm fired up.
All right, well, I just previewed it a little, and we just talked about it a little when you guys didn't know another sport that started with F on this campus.
Now we do.
But number 12 Syracuse field hockey plays 4th-ranked Virginia this week. Guys, sure to be an exciting game after Syracuse has started this season 10-3 on a 4-game win streak, and they just won their last 2 games, beating 2 West Coast foes against Stanford and Cal this past weekend.
Right, it's an orange team right now, Max, that has been in a little bit of a rhythm now. 2 of their losses this season came within the first 6 games, and they were both by 5-0 scorelines to very good programs in Ohio State and UNC. But since then, a 6-1 record. You see the big matchup so far for this team, and that one loss in the last 7 games was in a shootout to Duke as well. So riding a 4-game win streak heading into Friday's matchup, I think this is a team that's really in its best form so far this year, Andrew.
They absolutely are playing their best hockey right now, and I look at that September 29th loss to number 9 Duke, 1-0, an absolute brawl between those 2 teams where Syracuse lost that game 3-1 in a shootout, but a little bit of home cooking in these next 4 games. You win your next 4 contests, including 3 ranked games, Louisville, Princeton, Cal. The Orange have allowed just 3 goals in their last 4 games, everything really clicking at the right time as we work to the ACC tournament.
And it should also be mentioned that Ohio State game, the Buckeyes are already up to number 3 in the nation.
Ooh,
so
exactly.
Buckeye, Tar Heels almost in a league of their own in a sense. So not necessarily the toughest losses for Syracuse because of how perennial those programs have been this year. But you can't talk about the success of this Syracuse season without talking about one player and one player only, and that's Bo van Kempen. 11 goals on the year for the grad student from the Netherlands, and 7 game-winning goals. Just to put that in reference for you guys, if she had an own stat line, that would put her 2nd in total goals on the team.
That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. There was a commercial back in the 1980s that Nike did. It's about some guy named Bo Jackson. I don't know if you've heard of him. Yeah, but they had this saying that says Bo knows, and Bo van Kempen, she knows how to score game-winning goals. Max alluded to it. 7 of the 10 winners this year for the Orange has been one of the best players, not only in the ACC, but the country. Those 7 game-winning goals, they tie the Orange most for the 2nd since joining the ACC back in 2013. You want to talk about someone with a lethal shot that just brings so much to the table? That is Bo van Kempen. She's really the straw that stirs the drink right now, and a big reason why Syracuse is on this 4-game win streak.
I'll tell you what, Andrew, in the sport of field hockey, the Dutch tend to be clutch.
It's true.
And that's
they
what
are.
Van Kempen is. I mean, she's the definition of clutch for this team. You mentioned the 7 game-winning goals. She has 6 more total goals than any other player on this team, and she loves those late-game situations. When the pressure is on her, that's when she thrives the most, and her teammates know that. They know that if they set her up more times than not, she's going to put in the back of the cage.
That was a good shout by Andrew. Bo knows, and I guess Bo has just done it, but let's see how much my analysts know, because Bo Von Kempen has only been as successful because of a certain part of Syracuse's game.
Hey, thanks so much, Max. It's no secret that Bo Von Kempen has been the leader of this team on the attacking side of things, and a huge reason why she's been so successful in front of Cage Andrew is because more times than not, she takes advantage on attacking penalty corners.
Yeah, 11 of them this season, majority coming via the APC. So let's take a look at a game earlier this season against Louisville. The game-winning goal in that one of her 6th this season. Just look at the quick flick of the wrist on that shot. We're going to slow it down right here where the back post is covered by a Louisville defender, and on the other side as well. You'll see the runner here from this side. That's her job, is to block that initial shot from Bo Von Kempen, but just the accuracy she proceeds in that shot. You have to be such down to a T to fire that into the back of the net. The goalie really has no chance because, again, the snap flick wrist of Bo Von Kempen, one of the best in the country, makes her such a lethal scorer.
Well, game-winning goals, that's what Von Kempen delivers game in, game out. So I'm going to go to another game-winning goal, and in the most recent matchup against Cal just a few days ago, because this was a low-scoring affair, Von Kempen netted another goal here in overtime. And you see, we're playing at full speed here. Look at the quick drag flick. Of course, credit to her teammates for the perfect setup. Yeah. But it's all about the quick motion that allows her to be so successful and not really allow Cal or its goalie to react in time. Now, we're going to slow it down from behind the goal. It's not necessarily about her. She gets a little bit of lift on it, but it's more about the precision and the pace. It's such a quick shot that the goalie can't get to it down in the bottom corner quick enough. That's another example of Von Kempen cashing in time and time again on the APC. And Max, that's what makes her so successful game in, game out.
Corners alone, Sam, make Von Kempen so successful game in and game out. The corner is normally a form of punishment when you were little, but it's really most positive for the Syracuse squad. If you go to every single game they've played this year, every game they've lost, they haven't scored on a corner. Every single game they have won, they have scored. So that's almost been the magic factor for the Syracuse team, is scoring on those corners. But Bo's only one player. There's still a lot of other people playing into this very successful season for Syracuse right now. And Andrew, I know you've been very interested in one of their midfielders, in Liga Legangers.
Yeah, 11 different goal scorers for Syracuse this year. You got to jump into a pile of the autumn leaves just to find how deep the Syracuse offense is. And again, it starts with number 6, Liga Legangers. Only 2 goals and 2 assists this year, but again, those numbers a little bit deflated just because of how good Bo Von Kempen has been this season. But again, she's been the main inserter on those APCs and really sets up shot for Bo Von Kempen to find the back of the net as she does. But she is always in the midst of the goal. Don't doubt me on that. Waiting at the top of the crease, waiting to pounce on any single rebound that is left in front of the net. And that's one of her best abilities. She's really done a good job in these last couple of games as well, really making her mark on this team.
And well, another player, Andrew, who has really impressed me all season long so far is Willemijn Bogert. She really has a great repertoire to her game. 5 goals and 6 assists. So she can finish in front of goal, but she can also distribute. She helps out defensively. Also, that primary inserter, setting up a lot of those Von Kempen goals on penalty corners. Her favorite athlete is Frankie de Jong, a Dutch midfielder for FC Barcelona. He's a versatile midfielder, and it all makes sense because Bogert serves a similar role in the game of field hockey, and she can get it done in a variety of ways, Max.
And those two have been clicking at the right time for the Syracuse team, almost adding on to the success that Von Kempen has been having. But a team is only as successful as who they have in net. Yeah. And for this Orange team, it's been Louise Pert for the majority of the year, which is crazy to say because Pert's kind of been out of the fold. It's dealt with injuries, has had other players in front of her, but it's really stepped into her own this year. Lynn Farquhar's talked about how much she's embraced it, how much she loves the Orange, even despite sharing some time with the backup Vera Heckenberg.
Right, what Louise Pert is doing is very impressive, Andrew, and for the pure fact that, as Max mentioned, the injuries for me. You know, she missed all of last season, and no matter, how good of a goalie you are for an ACC team, when you miss an entire season with a lower body injury and don't appear in a game, you never know how it's going to be when you're flung into that starting role. Now, she was splitting some time with Heckenberg early on, but it's been Pert starting every game and now getting a majority of the minutes, and the stats do back it up. She's been very solid for this team.
It's been her net for the taking. She's got one of the best stories at Syracuse where she got the call her senior year from Ainge Bradley at the time, who was the head coach, that she was in the middle of her midterm studying and she got the call to accept that scholarship offer. So one of the best stories, and again, you alluded to it, the lower body injury, so she's come back stronger than ever, and really excited to see what she does in these final couple games.
There was a point where she had just shutout after shutout, including that Duke game, which does count as a shutout despite the Orange losing and penalty strokes. But lots to look forward for the Orange, especially going up against a very tough Cavaliers team. That's what we're going to talk about when we come back. We're meeting the Who's here on Cuse Countdown. Since then, the Orange have been bested 9 straight times by the Cavaliers. Can Lynn Farquhar's crew change that narrative? Welcome back to Cuse Countdown. It's a new year. I have the same suit on. We got the same graphic behind me, but there's been no different results when it's come to Syracuse field hockey playing Virginia. The Orange have now been bested 11 straight times after losing twice last year in 2 heartbreaking games. The Orange lost in double overtime at home in the first contest, and then in the second game they played them in the ACC tournament. SU went up 2-0 and then ended up giving up 3 straight goals. Now granted, that was a very good Virginia team, having a first-team All-ACC member in Della, who ended up scoring that double overtime winner against Syracuse in that game at home. That ended Syracuse's longest home winning streak. But as you can tell, there hasn't been a lot of success for Syracuse. In fact, their last win against Virginia came when the Orange won the national championship in 2015.
And what stands out the most, Andrew, about this string of Virginia dominating Syracuse is that, 11 straight wins for the Who's, but it hasn't been completely dominant because 6 of the last 7 games have been by a goal. So the Orange are right there. They just can't get over the hump. It's their kryptonite.
I'll give you a better number than that. 10 of the last 12 have been decided for 1 goal. But when you say 11 straight losses, Max, to the same team, that's just unbelievable.
All right, so the Orange, obviously not a ton of wins against Virginia over the last 10 years or so. I mentioned that national championship game. And Virginia has been competitive. They've been competing for national championships the last couple of years. They've been up with those high perennial teams. Number 4 in the nation right now, but we're number 3 last week after a tough 5-2 loss to St. Joe's. Yeah,
St. Joe's team that has really kind of had a resurgence in the Atlantic 10. They've been one of the better teams in that conference, making multiple NCAA tournament appearances. But we alluded to it a little bit earlier. St. Joe's really took advantage of the fact that 3 APC goals on 5 chances in the first half to take a 3-0 lead. Now, with 10 minutes to go, Tyler Kennedy was pulled for UVA, and then the Hawks get 2 extra goals via the empty net. So that score a little bit inflated than how close this was. But you gotta give a lot of credit to St. Joe's walking into Charlottesville and take care of business on the road.
Yeah, no matter what, even if it's a very much an up year for St. Joe's, it's still a notable result for UVA to drop this one, in my opinion. And you're right, it was St. Joe's applying that pressure on UVA, especially in the first half, where they earned 5 total corners and capitalized ultimately on 3 of them in this game. That's something Syracuse has to do to make this UVA defense uncomfortable, Max.
And it's funny that we're talking about St. Joe's, a team that we should say was 8th ranked in the nation at the time, but was formerly the squad of Lynn Farquhar. Yeah. She built that program, and it's been something special for these last couple of years. The Cavs, on the other hand, led by a 2-headed monster, Danny Mendes-Trendler and Suzette Le Mans. Le Mans not on the team last year, came over from the Netherlands, but Trendler has just continued a very, very good season from last year.
And that's what impresses me about this UVA attack, is that they're very balanced. You know, you got a new face in Le Mans who has come in, and she's thrived, to say the least. I mean, she's had international experience representing her country in the Netherlands, so she's not unfamiliar with the bright lights, but still for a lot of players, it's tough to slide right in and make an impact. She has done just that. The stats back it up. And then Mendes Trendler as well doing her job. It's a very balanced team on the attack, Andrew, and that's what makes them very tough to defend. Unlike Syracuse, there's not that one player who stands out. It's 2 or 3 that can get it done.
Well, when life gives you Le Mans, you make lemonade out of that, and 5 goals and 2 assists to add to that. She's been one of the better players in this league, and again, she played at the highest level for 2 years in the Netherlands. Again, just 4 goals in her last 4 games after 1 point in the first 5 contests, so she's really turning things around. And for Mendes Trendler, she was the team's leading scorer. She had 9 goals, 27 points, a 3rd-team All-American back in 2022. This is a dynamic duo for the Caps.
Cuse Le Mans likely going to be on that All-ACC team this year. Mendes Trendler was last year. There were a couple of other members of this Cuse squad that were also on the All-ACC team, with Taryn Kinchuk, even Noah Boderman. Madison Orsi also part of that list. Doesn't have a point yet because she mostly plays in the backfield. But you talk about all that returning talent and how much talent they had in that All-ACC team. It's going to be tough for Syracuse to stop.
You said Kachuk, right?
I said Kachuk.
Yeah, that's the same one that is related to Matthew and their brother.
Athletic family.
Very athletic family. They come from the same place as you in St. Louis, Missouri. So, you know, it's a little bit of a hotbed for athletes. But
same place as Olivia Bell?
Oh, that's right as well. But again, Kachuk comes from a very athletic family. Her father was an amazing professional athlete as well. But again, when you look at 2 really good players in the back end that have been here for a long time, you look at these 2 that stand out. And the one with Boderman, she stands out in her own way. She scored the game-winning goal in the ACC quarterfinal win last year against Syracuse, was also a 2nd-team All-American in 2023. So when you look all over the field for the Cavs, there's talent literally all over the field.
Right, and for these seniors in particular, Andrew, it's all about that experience and leadership they bring to the table. Noah Boderman in particular, a player who really is versatile at both ends of the field. Looking back at last season, she led the ACC with 5 defensive saves, helping out that back line, but also had 8 goals on the attacking front. She's already found the back of the net a couple of times this season. She's really Mrs. Do-It-All and really embraces that leadership role, Max.
And if it hasn't been too obvious, good players does not just a team make. I mentioned it with Luis Pertl earlier for Syracuse. Your goalie also has to be sort of that stalwart on the defensive end. But for Virginia and their netminder and Tyler Kennedy, she hasn't necessarily been the most spectacular in net in the ACC.
It's been a bit up and down for her, Andrew. She does have 4 shutouts to her credit. It's now her 2nd year as a consistent starter for this Cavaliers team, so she has experienced those big games, such as the ACC tournament last year, and playing Syracuse, so I think she'll know the importance of starting off strong in a game like this against Syracuse. And to Max's point, the stats for her, not as good as Pert. It's been a little up and down for her so far.
And the one that's staggering the most for me is that 54 save percentage. That's 2nd to last in the ACC, but again, 4 shutouts, a 10-2 record, less than a goal and a half per game number-wise. You can't really argue with that, but again, she does a really good job coming out, challenging suitors on the offensive end. She started every game in the last 2 years, 12 career shutouts. She's going to have to play very big.
Yep.
And if you look at the ACC goalie stats, are always very close, less than decimals in terms of goals per game, save percentage. There's not a lot of goals in field hockey, but we've told you who they are, who. But now it's time to welcome in an expert on this sport when we come back. We're bringing Dan Shalam, and we're hitting the textbooks. We're learning a little Hockey 101 on Cuse Countdown.
If you need to do something to feel okay to drive, you're not okay to drive. Don't drive buzzed.
Hey, look, it's those guys. Are Are you good to drive?
I'm fine.
How many did you have?
I should be fine.
You should be.
Go and step out of the vehicle for me.
See ya, buddy. Good luck. So turns out, buzz driving and drunk driving, they're the same thing, and it costs around $10,000. So not worth it.
The stick's back, we're back, and you've already heard me sing once this show, but now it's time to hold me closer, Dr. Dan Shalam. Hi, Dan. Welcome into the studio.
Good to be
He's
with
our
you, Max.
Citrus Field Hockey beat reporter. Dan, great to be with you. I'm going to give you the Professor Shalam title.
I like that.
At least for this segment, because you're going to have to help us channel some of our inner Hockey knowledge. It's time for some Hockey 101. I got the stick. Andrew, I'm going to hand this magic wand to you. We are supposed to return that, so please be careful.
I will be.
Don't
I
drop
will.
it
I
now.
promise.
Yeah.
I promise.
Watch
Break
it.
it.
You can, all right.
If you break it, you have to pay for it.
Oh, come on.
All right, Dan. So there's been a lot of terminology we've talked about this show. APC, DPC. Let's start with the APC, or the attacking penalty corner to be specific. Just go into some general logistics of how this works.
Yeah, so Max, the attacking penalty corner is the best chance that any team will get in a field hockey game. As you can see in the diagram behind me, the offensive side gets 8 players, the defense only with 4. It's where Syracuse has thrived the most this year, and here's how they've done it. Someone has to insert. That's usually been Wilmine Bogert so far for this team. She passes right here. On corners, the ball must come outside of the circle before you can shoot. So she does it right there. And then, as Andrew will show you,
the trap
right there from Lika Legongers. And then this is where Syracuse's thrive. Bo Von Kempen will come from right here and shoot. And most of the time, she scores. Some of the times, Syracuse gets fancy. They throw Von Kempen out here or out there. We saw it in the 1-0 win against Wake Forest.
Right.
But for the most part, as of right now, the APC has been the best thing for Syracuse offensively.
Yeah, and a big key to Syracuse's offensive success on these APCs is, the full team effort. Of course, Von Kempen is usually the finisher, but it's got to be a good insertion to set up the chance, and then also the teammate setting Von Kempen up there on the immediate touch, and sometimes it's an extra pass too. It's a full team effort to ultimately find the back of the net, Andrew.
And we kind of talked about it earlier, 15 goals on 88 chances this year. You could show a lot of eye candy using those insertions because, again, there's no motion like in football where you have to set someone. Everyone can kind of move around, really make things difficult for the defense. That's something Syracuse is really good at this season.
And I talked about how much success Syracuse has had off of corners, and Lynn Farquhar is not afraid to sort of enable that misdirection for her squad, especially if they don't get the initial shot they want from Von Kempen. But let's go from the offensive side to the defensive side. The DPC, defensive penalty corner, that's been a unit that's been really successful for Syracuse
I like
as
that
well.
you brought up Von Kempen because she's been a beast offensively, but defensively they rely on her a lot as well, along with Bo and Hattie Madden. So the most crucial thing on the DPC is your flyer. That's right there, the top right. That's usually the person that is furthest from where the corner is being inserted from. Their job is to get out front right here and block the shot. Block Bo Von Kempen's shot. You don't want anything coming through. It blocks then the goalie's chance of even seeing the shot, which is the biggest thing. So, Sam, why don't we have a little fun here?
Let's
why don't
show
you
it.
come over
Yeah,
here?
show you how
So let's show you how
All
it's done, right? Yep. So how the flyer actually comes out is they're holding the stick here to gain momentum.
Sam looks like he's at like a statue at a water fountain.
And then
right now.
you pick up your right
Ready?
foot here,
Yep.
and then when you have to go out, bam,
Take off.
Use that
Sam. Take
momentum.
off.
take that momentum.
I just blocked the
and
shot.
then
It's the second time
you
he's
can
ran
block
off
the
today.
shot. You cut down the lane, and most of the time, maybe you have a chance to counterattack after that.
Absolutely. I love counterattacking.
But again, the defensive effort that it takes to get out to the ball, I mean, we talk about a shot that's coming at, 80, 90 miles per hour from the top of the arc there. So you see all 4 players, they got to get in gloves. You got to wear some sort of goalie mask to protect yourself because, again, that's a really tough job to go block out that plastic ball. Again, look at them, all 4 stuffed in the cage there, running out at full speed. That's tough to do.
It is. It's all about the timing, Andrew. That's the key. Like, my timing was perfect on that example.
It was, yeah.
Their timing is perfect right here. Right when that ball is put in play, you got to charge out full speed. If you have to put your body on the line, that's what it takes in the sport of field hockey.
And someone's timing who's been practically perfect, Bo Madden, that flyer for Syracuse a majority of the time. And Lynn Farquhar talked about how success is getting hit by the ball a lot of the times. And speaking of getting hit by the ball, Dan, I think it's worth asking because we've talked APC, DPC, we've talked the whole shebang, but I think the question we're all asking it, and anyone that has watched field hockey is asking, how the heck do these happen?
Yeah, so Max, any violation that the defense commits inside of the circle results in an APC. That can
Anything?
be anything.
In that whole thing?
So I know Sam's a big soccer guy. If he kicks the ball out of bounds in soccer, it's a corner.
He's
but
losing.
if it touches his foot
I
in
can't
field
be on
hockey,
defense.
it's a corner, and your team has probably done a few, Sam, on her squad. And then a couple other things up the opposite side of the stick. Obviously, that results in an APC, but any violation right here in the circle ends up with an APC for the opposing side.
That's got to be one of my weirdest rules, is it hits the foot inside the arc, then you get a short corner out of that. So I'm wondering if teams are purposely doing that where they ricochet off of someone's foot and maybe play a little garbage goal, because anything you throw in front ricochets off of someone's foot, you get a penalty corner out of that. There's got to be some sort of strategy to that.
No, I think there absolutely is. And when you watch, especially high-level games at the ACC level, you see that kind of implemented, especially by the Syracuse team, where it doesn't have to be intentional at all by the defensive team. As long as it hits the foot of a defensive player and puts the attacking team at a disadvantage, whistle blown, attacking penalty corner. And like you've been explaining to us, Dan, that's the best chance you're going to get in the game.
Without a doubt.
If Syracuse has had trouble generating offense, something that I've noticed is that if they flick the ball in, they may just try and draw the corner. They may not actually try to get a clean shot off, because they know that sometimes that cleanest shot is going to be on the corner chance. Dan, we appreciate you joining us. You keep up the good coverage all season long, and hey, a big game tomorrow. Excited for you to cover it.
It's going to be a good one.
All right, we've got one more break here on Cuse Countdown, and when we come back, we'll look around one of the best conferences in all of college field hockey. My analysts will also give their players to watch and keys to the game on Cuse Countdown.
Here you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone knows the saying, as they say in Focky, let's do that Focky. And, well, we're almost done doing that Focky, unfortunately. Number 12, Syracuse going up against 4th-ranked Virginia in Charlottesville. And it's sure to be a good matchup. We've talked Syracuse, we've talked the Who's, but Syracuse, starting with Virginia, it starts a gauntlet of a schedule going forward.
It does. You know, this is not an easy stretch before that ACC tournament rolls around, which is going to be more tough opponents. Now, I will say, Bucknell, gotta win. No doubt about it. No excuses. UConn and BC, though, those are going to be very difficult matchups. I would say go for a split there if you're Syracuse.
Yeah, I got my eyes all over that UConn game. Picked 3rd in the Big East coaches poll. They're 12-1. They're undefeated at home this season. That'll be a really tough matchup.
Boston College, UConn, 2 teams Syracuse beat last season. And as far as Syracuse holds up in the ACC, well, they've been pretty competitive, still around that, that upper echelon. Still haven't quite cracked the top with teams like North Carolina. But as the season's gone on, you see Boston College at the top right now. Could be a crapshoot towards the end for who's going to get those top seeds in the ACC tournament.
Yeah, definitely a little bit of surprise to see BC at 5-0 in that number 1 spot. A team that was projected to finish 4th in the conference entering this year, but Charlotte Kramer, their goaltender, has had a hand in 4 shutouts this season. But again, as you look down this list, you got 4 of the top 10 teams in the rankings right now hailing from the ACC, and 4 of the 9 teams in the league have 3 or fewer losses. So again, this continues to be a gauntlet of a conference that just gets better each year.
It really does. And for me, if Syracuse can somehow find a way to climb up from that 5 seed to the 3 seed, all of a sudden it's a much more favorable quarterfinal matchup in the ACC tourney.
Yeah, right now Syracuse projected to play Duke, and that would be a tough draw considering that's a team they lost to already this year in penalty strokes and lost to in the national quarterfinals last year. But all right, now it's go time. I need your keys for Syracuse to come out on top against Virginia. Remember, 11 straight times the Orange have been beaten. What's it going to take?
It's going to take taking advantage of all the penalty corners that come around in this game for Syracuse.
Talked a whole lot about it.
Yeah, we already mentioned it that St. Joe's capitalized on those chances against UVA. Syracuse needs to exploit that, especially with a dangerous goal scorer in Von Kempen.
Well, I need this defense to lock down for Syracuse. Virginia's second in the ACC in nearly 3 goals per game. Syracuse 0-2 this season when allowing 3 or more goals. That's got to be the secret to success. You got to limit chances for the Hoos.
Well, the good news is Syracuse has 5 shutouts this year, and they're 10-0 when they score on corners. I just got to throw it out real quick. Any players that you're watching in particular?
Oh, it's got to be Lika Langler. She's been one of the key players that stepping outside of Bo Von Kempen, she really sets the tone early.
For me, Willemijn Bogert, all the attention will be on Von Kempen.
All right, well, that's Andrew Della, Piana, that's Sam Reis. I'm Max Gifford. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Cuse Countdown. Enjoy the game, everybody.